Before you move any further on this video, what I would like you to do straight up is to watch the video below. There is an amazing video of Bartha Benz from the Mercedes-Benz who talks about how the whole thing got created. And I don't want to steal any thunder from this video because this video is an extremely well-made one. So take a couple of minutes and watch the video. Hope you enjoyed the video and got moved by the video, because every time I watch the video, I'm totally moved. Now, there are three attributes of creative individual which I want to highlight here. And the three attributes are clear head, a deep heart, and a thick skin. Okay, what is clear head? Clear head is your ability to prioritize. What do you want to achieve and at what cost? Okay, now she was very clear about what she wants to achieve. She wants to ensure that she is able to cover a certain distance from point A to point B with the help of her newly created contraption, the car. Okay, that's the clarity. And most people aren't very good in terms of prioritization because they want everything. When I talk to entrepreneurs and I ask them the question, who's your customer? They say, anybody who wants to pay. And I for a fact know that they are not going much a distance. A more interesting question would be, who is not your customer? So next time when you are quizzing somebody about their entrepreneurial pursuit, ask the question, who is not your customer? And that will be very much revealing. So that is as far as the clear head is concerned, which is prioritization. The second is deep heart, which is about empathizing. Can you feel the pain of other people? Can you feel the pain and the plight of people around you without them necessarily telling it to them? And that's a distinction between empathizing and sympathizing. Sympathy is reactive. Empathy is proactive. You need to have deep heart. Otherwise, what would happen is that in the pursuit of the great, you might end up burning not only people around you, but also burning yourself. Now, what was she empathetic about? She was empathetic about the ignorance of people. She didn't pick a fight with them. That don't you know this much? She was empathetic about her own children. She was empathetic about the situation that she was surrounded with. That is empathy. That is deep heart. That is compassion. And we need compassion. But to top it all up, she also had thick skin. She was not inundated by people's criticism. She did not give into or give up what she was wanting to do. She went through the emotions. The physical, emotional, intellectual hardship that she went through was unparalleled. That is what needs thick skin. And be rest assured that if you are trying anything even slightly so creative in your life, you will face criticism. You will face criticism not only from the strangers, but you may also face criticism from your near and dear. Your parents might criticize you. Your friends might criticize you. Your teachers might criticize you. And if you can withstand that criticism, is only then you are cut out to be creative. So if you think creativity is a path which is rosy, make no mistakes. And that's the reason why creativity is rare. Creativity is not rare because people are short of ideas. Creativity is rare because people are short of courage. Yes, they're short of courage. They don't have thick skin. Now let me pause here for a moment and ask this question to you. That out of having a clear head, a deep heart, and a thick skin, which one do you lack? Now, when I ask this question to a room full of curious people, the most common answer I get is that I lack thick skin. If anybody says anything to me, I get perturbed. I want to please everybody. I want to make people happy. I want to make my parents happy. I want to make my teachers happy. I want to make my friends happy. I want to make myself happy. And in the process, I make everybody miserable. You need to have thick skin. You need to know whom to listen to when and when to ignore. Because if you don't cultivate thick skin, you can't come up with anything original. You will be a copy throughout your life. Copy of your parents, copy of your teachers, copy of your role models, of your friends, and whatever else social media feeds you. You need to develop thick skin because you need thick skin to materialize your idea. And in the process, as an entrepreneur, as a student, as a family man, as an employee, you will always face resistance, but you have to cut through the resistance to be able to take it all the way. Now, how do you develop thick skin? How do you develop resilience in your life? And I have this very simple model for all of you, and this is called as ITC. You see, whatever is happening to you, a good 50% of all of that is something you can simply ignore. Somebody says something to you, somebody insults you, somebody on the street sort of shows you a wrong expression. Move on. Is it worth fighting with this person? It's not worth it. Absolutely. Most of the things, most of the situations can be completely ignored. I would say that 50% of what is happening to you can be ignored. When do you ignore things? You ignore things when the purpose is nothing beyond your ego boosting. You are driving your bike or a car and somebody brushes right past you, an auto rickshaw driver or somebody. Is it worth getting into a fight with this person? Not really worth it. You would rather conserve your peace of mind and carry on with whatever you're supposed to do, because it's so unlikely that in a country like India, in the massive traffics that you are facing, you will not brush with somebody. Highly unlikely. You will brush. And what's the big deal in that? It's okay. Ignore and move on. Now, don't ignore people. Ignore their behavior. Okay? Don't ignore people, because people are completely subjected to their conditions, the external condition, and they behave in a way that is dictated by the condition. So just ensure that it's the condition which is not good, and that's the reason why the guy is behaving this way. That's okay. Just ignore the behavior and move on. 50% of whatever is happening to you can be totally ignored. It is definitely not worth it. Okay? Trust me. That is learn to ignore things. You'll have a much, much more peaceful life. Because after all, whoever you are, including the president of the US, you can only make a finite change. If you really look at any president of the US, and when you look at their term on the hindsight, you can just count on the fingertips what are the big things a person achieved. Trust me. Allegedly, the most powerful person on the earth can only achieve 5 or 6 things in 5 years or 4 years. So who are you? Learn to ignore stuff. Okay? Now, when you cannot ignore things in the sense that it is becoming personal, then you need to learn to tolerate. When should you tolerate? You tolerate stuff when there is a purpose, which is self-improvement. For example, your parents ask you to do something which you don't feel like doing. Your friend push you, your teachers push you, your mentors, your customers, your investors, they push you into doing things which may not be tasteful at that point of time, but you still need to go through the grind, and you tolerate that push because there is a self-improvement in that. For example, I'm pushing you right now to go through this entire course, to read a few books, to think more creatively. You can ignore what I'm saying, but if you ignore what I'm saying, will you ever develop? The answer is no. So 40% of what is happening to you, you must tolerate, because there is a seed of self-improvement. As a parent, you have to tolerate certain things which your child is doing, because that is how you develop resilience in yourself, that is how you develop love for your child, and that is how you develop character of your child. If you start ignoring the child's stuff, then obviously the child will end up becoming a bad citizen, and which is not only bad for the people around your child, but also bad for your child. So 50% is ignored, 40% is tolerated. And the last 10%, the very rarest of the rare, the last 10% is something that you must confront. Because when you confront is when you change. By ignoring, you never change. By tolerating, you never change situation. Only by confronting, you change. And you confront situation when the purpose is beyond self. For example, somebody's abused you. Do you ignore that abuse? No. If you are a female employee and somebody comes and touches you inappropriately, do you ignore it? No. Do you tolerate it? No. You confront it. Straight away you confront it. And you confront it not because he did it to you. You confront it because he may do it to somebody else also. And the seed of creativity happens when you are very, very selective in what you are confronting. If you start confronting anything and everything, you are basically dissipating your entire energy. You are picking up needless battles. So the secret of success is to be totally focused onto things which you can positively change. And that's what Warren Buffett very famously calls as your circle of competence. You have to stick to your circle of competence. It doesn't matter how broad or narrow your circle of competence is, but you need to know clearly the boundary of your circle of competence. For example, I may be a good teacher, but I will definitely not be a good teacher in finance, marketing, HR, sales, accounting, etc., etc. but I may be a relatively good teacher as long as I stick to my circle of competence, which is, say, creativity. You're getting the point? So ITC means ignore profusely, tolerate with bravery, and confront very, very selectively. And you confront in a situation which you can't tolerate and where you think that the cause is bigger than yourself. And that is how you develop resilience. That is how you develop a thick skin on your life. Now, do you remember I spoke to you about courage? Can I teach you courage? No, I cannot teach you courage. Can any course in the world teach you courage? No. Nobody can teach you courage. Courage is something that you must have and that only you can learn. Courage can't be taught. Courage can only be exhibited. I can exhibit courage. You can exhibit courage. Now answer this question to me. Who's the mother of courage? Where do you get courage from in life? Because we all know that coming up with a creative idea is easy. But to be able to take that creative idea to its logical conclusion, that's not easy. And that requires courage. As Peter Thiel very famously said, that genius is in short supply, but courage is in even shorter supply than genius. And I've never come across any course that can teach you courage. So, who's the mother of courage? Take a moment to contemplate who's the mother of courage. And I think mother of courage is clarity. Only when you are clear about the consequence of your action, then you have the courage to take the action. Clarity gives you courage and not the other way around. Courage doesn't give you clarity. Clarity gives courage, courage gives confidence. But to be courageous, you need to be clear about what are your limits, what are your priorities in life, what are you willing to let go, and for what? What do you want to hold on to and what you are okay to pass? And that clarity comes with a clear head. Have a clarity in your life. Where does clarity come from? Who's the mother of clarity? The mother of clarity is content. Yes, you need to have content in your life. And what is this course trying to give you? This entire course is trying to give you content. An educated person is much more content rich and as a consequence much more clear. He or she knows the boundary of her capacities. And basis that you either try to push the boundaries of your capacities, you try to operate in the boundary of your capacities, but you are never living in any sort of a delusion. So content gives clarity and clarity gives courage. Now all of you who are going through this course and all the other courses in this entire program will no doubt have content. But what you do with the content in terms of applying it, thinking through it, augmenting it with your own life experiences gives you clarity. And once you have clarity, guys and girls, you have the courage to take an idea to its logical conclusion. So I hope this module with all the questions, answers and discussions packed into it was very useful to you. I look forward to the next piece. We were talking about the habits of creative individuals and we burst a few more myths in terms of what can we do to improve our own band of creativity. Thank you so much.